The latest generation is the weakest one ever, and it's becoming worse every year. The reason being the father figures, or the lack of it. A child learns most of the world from their parents, and most importantly the father. If the father shows good morals, then the child thinks this is how the world works and it begins to inculcate these traits and vice versa. Children from broken families and neighborhoods mostly come with a variety of personal issues. This reflects very true in reality. The cheating and dishonesty of fathers lead to children who think it's normal to do those things. The absence of fatherly care can bring about severe changes. There are of course certain aspects deemed to be negative in nature, though we will try to turn it into something that can prove to be advantageous. Not through comparison, more through admiration of mustering difficulties. Socialization can sometimes prove to be difficult. Why is that? This due to the fact we learn from those who raised us. They are our first friends. Oftentimes, we tend to fight within ourselves, which is a mere truth of acceptance. Of course, there have been cases of hardship even in the average nuclear family that can make one half-hearted. But this realization is drawn upon the toddler at a very early age. We as adults begin to see this as a harsh reality. Although in the eyes of the toddler it's more of curiosity that requires attention, which is where we as adults lose our composure and succumb to our emotions when dealing with such a tempest, and requires immediate attention to serve as a father figure as well. The point being, our emotions exceed our expectations and bring out stress, which is in turn communicated to the toddler craving for care in the world of fatherliness. Thus, such situations of one parent mustering through such a difficulty make the child stronger from within and make him her form stronger bonding in relationships. As time beckons in the upbringing of the child, of course, there's no right or wrong, though the distraction of our dealing with our own emotions, to not only be the caregiver and to be the model of representation of a fatherly figure is communicated, albeit in a distorted manner. The calmer we are, when even turbulent times, makes the toddler grow with loving fondness of this calmness, and realizes that fatherly presence is but a mere shadow of the caring mother, who with great affection emphasizes this bond. Much like water makes its way around obstacles, but when turbulent, the flow is lost and are the obstacles, leaving behind traces of destruction. Irrespective of the reason a father is absent, there have been many studies on children brought up in fatherless families. Although the question relates to girls, I will deal with boys first as this relates to the question. For boys, the following effects are common. 1. Lack of discipline leads many boys to join gangs. Most boys in gangs come from fatherless families. 2. Lack of a father leads boys to have no role model on how to relate to women generally. Men who are abusive to women commonly come from fatherless families. 3. Boys from fatherless families are more likely to suffer from alcohol, drug, chemical abuse, more likely to become a criminal, more likely to be a truant or dropout, more likely to have broken relationships in later life. 4. More likely to be involved in domestic violence. 5. More likely to suffer from depression and mental disorders. For girls, some of the above apply. There are other aspects. 1. Having no protective father, they may well turn to other men, but get abused in the process. This can make them wary of men generally. 2. They may well find that the mother has to replace the father and impose discipline, which can turn a girl against the mother. 3. The girl may well find that without the father she has to contribute more to the family, and this demand can take its toll in other ways in her life. 4. She may well find that the mother cannot cope well on her own, so she has to take on the mother's role when she is not mature enough for it. 5. She may not have the financial support a father normally gives, so this will affect her social standing. 6. She may well cultivate attitudes of defensiveness that will affect her own relationships. 7. If she has a family, she may live in fear that her husband or partner will leave as her father did. This, in turn, could make her overly possessive of her children. And all girls brought up in fatherless families tend to look for father figures in older men, or may well become independent to the point where they prefer to be guarded against all men. High suicide rates in young women can often be traced to having no one to turn to whom they can trust. The situation is made worse by the fact that child custody battles fought out in family courts tend to exacerbate the hostility between parents rather than helping it to be conciliatory.